The first alarm reached Commander Arya Vale long before the crew of the Rapid Response Fleet finished their morning rotations. It flashed across her command table as a fractured transmission, static, broken sentences, and the faint echo of something that did not belong in a medical rescue request. Arya leaned forward, isolating the signal. "Play it clean," she said. The computer filtered the noise. A strained voice emerged. "Rethal 4, critical casualties, please send." The rest dissolved in a violent crackle. Lieutenant Kasim glanced up from his console. "Coalition says it's another planetary collapse. Infrastructure failure. They're asking for emergency triage teams." Arya didn't answer. She replayed a small section of the recording, slowing it to a near crawl. The faint backdrop was unmistakable high-frequency weapon discharge, the KRYLL kind, followed by a distant scream abruptly cut off. Her jaw tightened. "That's not infrastructure failure." Kasim hesitated. "You think?" "I know what KRYLL rifles sound like." She enlarged the waveform on her screen. This distress call wasn't sent during a structural collapse. Someone was under attack. The lieutenant straightened, concern replacing his usual calm. "Coalition reports no hostile activity in the region." Arya exhaled slowly. Coalition has been wrong before. The bridge hummed with quiet efficiency, technicians monitoring navigation, medics preparing emergency payloads, pilots checking shuttle diagnostics. Humanitarian missions were routine for the fleet, almost comforting in their predictability. Arrive, assess, stabilize, save. Arya had built her life on that rhythm, believing in the dignity of intervention without violence. But the audio didn't lie. Captain Rourke approached, his boots clicking softly against the metal flooring. "We received a follow-up request," he said, handing her a datapad. "They're expecting full medical deployment. No combat units needed." Arya scrolled through the coalition briefing. Words like evacuation corridors and civilian overflow filled the page, nothing mentioning the sound of plasma rifles or burning structures. She looked up. "When were we last in contact with our doctors stationed on Rethal 4? 3 days ago," Rourke answered. "Routine health scans, planetary wellness survey. Everything stable. 3 days. Too long for a peaceful colony. Try reaching them again," she ordered. Kasim attempted a direct connection. Static flooded the channel. He cycled frequencies, nothing but uneven hissing. Arya listened carefully. Beneath the distortion she detected a faint rhythmic pulse, almost like machinery grinding against metal. Something mechanical. Something deliberate. She shut the channel. "We're leaving immediately. Notify the fleet, hyperspace jump in 8. Rourke frowned. "Coalition specifically said no combat posture. And I'm not declaring one," Arya replied. "But we're not arriving blind." As the crew prepared, Arya stepped toward the observation deck. Through the glass, the fleet drifted like silent guardians, sleek white medical carriers, support frigates, and 2 escort destroyers. Not warships, but not defenseless. The human rapid response fleet was built to save, not conquer. Yet today, she sensed the universe shifting under her feet. Rethal 4 had always been quiet, a lush agricultural world dotted with domed settlements and community clinics. The humans stationed there were healers, researchers, volunteers who believed in peaceful outreach. People who wore white coats, not armor. People who trusted the coalition's promise of safety. If KRYL forces had reached them. Arya forced that thought away until she had evidence. "Commander," Kasim called from across the bridge, "fleet reports ready." She returned to the command table. The star map projected the calculated route, clean, uninterrupted, mathematically perfect. A simple humanitarian journey. But her instincts warned her it wouldn't end simply. "Jump," she commanded. Space folded. The fleet vanished. The transition ended with a jolt. The moment real space returned, a blinding flare burst across their forward screens, firestorms rising from the planet's surface. Entire districts burned under thick black smoke. Electrical grids lay shattered. Settlements flickered like dying embers. Kasim whispered, This isn't natural." Arya stepped closer, her heart dropping. Scan for life. Rourke ran a deep sweep. Multiple pockets of survivors, scattered across the northern hemisphere. Heavy plasma damage. Commander, these readings match KRYLL weapon signatures. Arya didn't move for several seconds. Then, deploy medical shuttles. Combat escorts active. Marines to defensive posture only. She needed time to confirm what had happened, time she barely had. As shuttles launched from the carriers, Arya watched a burning crater widen across the surface. A settlement she recognized, Sector 9, where human medics operated a pediatric clinic. She magnified the area. Bodies. Too many. The steady movement of KRYLL patrols combing the outskirts. Arya's voice hardened. Put it on external display. Everyone needs to see. The panoramic projection wrapped around the bridge. Silence settled. The view revealed a line of human medical staff laid out in the open, still wearing their white insignia. Their equipment shattered. Their tents burned. Rourke clenched his hands. They executed them. Arya swallowed the rising heat in her throat. The coalition didn't warn us because they didn't know. Her chest tightened. But the KOLL knew exactly who they were targeting. A comm alert chimed. Marine Captain Lorne appeared on the holoscreen from the leading shuttle. Smoke streaked across his visor. Commander, we've reached a survivor cluster. Civilians confirm KOLL forces landed without warning. Hospitals hit first. They took trophies. He paused, jaw set. This wasn't a raid. It was a purge. Arya held his gaze. Secure the civilians. Evacuate anyone you can. Defend your perimeter. Yes, Commander. The transmission ended. Arya turned to her crew. Every face held the same expression, shock sharpening into resolve. She spoke quietly, but her voice carried the weight of steel. Record what you see. Document every sight. We came as healers. They murdered healers. That changes everything. Her fingers tapped a confirmation on her console. Effective immediately, she said, voice cold and unwavering. Activate Protocol Theta Red. The bridge froze. Rourke whispered, that's a war-ready humanitarian directive. It is, Arya said. We will save every civilian we can. But we will not allow KRYLL forces to continue hunting them. Kasim looked at her with new understanding. Commander, what do we tell the fleet? Arya stared at the burning world below. Tell them the truth, she answered. They expected medical aid. But after what the KOLL did, her eyes hardened into something unbreakable. They're going to get something else. The lights dimmed. Sirens pulsed. Destroyers shifted formation, weapons awakening after years of silence. Humanity had arrived not just to heal, but to stand. And for the first time in decades, the galaxy was about to remember why humans were never meant to be underestimated. The fires on Rethal 4 dimmed only slightly as the first human shuttles cut through the ash-filled atmosphere. Commander Arya Vale watched their descent from the holodisplay, each shuttle marked with medical insignia now shadowed by the armed escorts drifting beside them. The scene below resembled a scar carved through a once peaceful world, broken structures, scorched farmland, and entire neighborhoods abandoned mid-flight. Kasim monitored the telemetry feed. First landing zone secured. Marines forming a defensive shell. Arya nodded. Patch me through. The display flickered, revealing Captain Lorne crouched behind a collapsed wall, dust clinging to his armor. Holes from plasma fire marked the stone behind him. Behind his shoulder, civilians huddled, silent, exhausted, barely standing. Commander, he said, voice steady despite the chaos. We found survivors scattered across the outskirts. Most injured, dehydrated, terrified. KRYLL squads still roam the perimeter. Arya leaned in. Any sign of their command structure? Not yet. But locals claim the assault was systematic. Hospitals were hit first. Anything with a human emblem was destroyed. Her breath sharpened, held, and released in a single controlled motion. Get those people out. Prioritize children and critical injuries. Use shield units, no one moves unprotected. Yes, As the feed closed, Arya heard a quiet voice beside her. "Commander," Kasim said, "you need to see this." He expanded a secondary feed. A Marine squad entered a ruined medical camp. The ground was blackened from an explosion. Tents torn apart. Portable scanners melted into twisted shapes. In the center lay a human medic's satchel, half buried in dust. One of the Marines lifted it. Supplies spilled out: bandages, hypos, diagnostic pads, a single handwritten note from a child thanking the medic for fixing Dad's fever. Arya stared at the note. A small smile drawn in crayon at the bottom. A normal gesture from a peaceful world. The Marine's voice cracked through the speaker. "Commander, whoever attacked here didn't even check the bodies for valuables. They weren't looting. They were sending a message." A moment of stillness stretched across the bridge. Arya closed the feed. Kasim, open encrypted channel to Coalition High Council. The council emblem materialized, followed by a row of representatives, unsettled faces, hurried conference hall, frayed nerves. "Commander Vale," the lead councillor greeted, "we received your preliminary updates. The situation appears far more severe than our reports suggested. We request confirmation, are hostile forces present?" Arya didn't soften her response. "Yes. KRYLL units remain active. Your intelligence underestimated their reach." A murmur rippled through the council members. Another councillor leaned forward. "We were told humans stationed there were limited to medical support. We expected no aggression from the KRYLL. They murdered unarmed personnel wearing medical emblems," Arya cut in. "Your assumptions cost lives." The councillor stiffened. "We did not anticipate open war." Arya held her ground. "Then learn from your mistake. Humanity won't clean up another one blind." Kasim silently admired her restraint. She had every right to unleash fury, yet she kept her tone calm, precise, undeniable. The council hesitated. "What are your intentions?" "Rescue civilians," Arya replied, "and drive off KOLL forces threatening them." "That sounds like military intervention." "Call it what you want," Arya answered. "I call it responsibility." The council's image faded without further argument. They knew they had no leverage left. Arya turned back to her team. "Prepare ground reinforcements. Deploy recon drones across the northern sector." "Yes, Commander," Kasim replied. Moments later, a new feed activated, recon drone Theta sweeping through a devastated district. The camera glided over rows of shattered dwellings. Doors broken. Windows blasted outward. Scorch marks painting the streets. Then movement. A lone KOLL soldier dragged a screaming villager from a collapsed shelter. Before he could raise his weapon, a human Marine dropped from above, neutralizing him with a clean, efficient burst. More Marines arrived, guiding civilians toward evacuation shuttles. Kasim exhaled. "They're working fast. They don't have time to go slow," Arya said. "The KRYLL won't stop hunting." Rourke approached. "We've captured a survivor from the KRYLL squad. He's requesting negotiation." Arya frowned. "Put him through." A frame appeared, a restrained KRYLL officer, armor cracked, mandibles twitching in rhythmic irritation. His voice clicked through a translator. "You respond with force," he sneered. "Yet your species claims to value mercy." Arya kept her expression unreadable. "We do. We save those who ask for help. You extinguished the ones providing it." The officer hissed, low, guttural, contemptuous. "Humans grew arrogant. You wander the stars pretending to heal worlds. But soft species break easily." A pulse of anger tightened her shoulders, but she refused to show it. "If you think we're soft," she said calmly, "you've made your final mistake." The KRYLL bared sharp, serrated teeth. "We examined your outposts. You build clinics instead of fortresses. You travel with healers, not soldiers. You do not understand war." Arya stepped closer to the projection. "We understand it well enough to avoid it. But we also know how to end it." The officer's mandibles froze. A flicker of uncertainty crossed his eyes. "Your fleet does not match your reputation." "It will," Arya answered. She cut the feed. The bridge fell silent, waiting for her next command. Instead of speaking, Arya walked toward the panoramic display showing Rethal 4's surface. More survivors were being airlifted. Marines formed secure corridors. Smoke curled around burning structures, drifting like a fading memory of what this world once was. She thought of the human medics who died in the first wave. People who offered nothing but help. People who trusted that carrying a healing emblem meant protection. She would honor them not with mourning, but with action. Kasim, she said, her voice steady, how many civilians are in immediate danger? Thousands, Kasim replied. But evacuation speed is improving. Our medics report stable conditions in secured zones. Good. Keep them safe. Every one of them matters. Rourke stepped beside her. When do we strike the KRYLL strongholds? Arya's reply was calm, clear, unshakable. At nightfall. Rourke nodded. Understood. Arya faced her command crew. Tonight, we break their lines. Not for vengeance. For the people who trusted us to save them. For the medics who believed war could be distant. No one questioned her decision. Protocol Theta Red transformed the fleet not into conquerors, but into protectors armed with purpose. Humanity's reputation as healers had never conflicted with their capacity for defense, it had only hidden it. Kasim adjusted the tactical grid. KRYLL forces are consolidating around 3 strongholds. Heavy weapon signatures. They didn't expect resistance. They will. Arya scrutinized the map. Begin preliminary calculations for coordinated strikes. Use precision fire only. Civilians must remain untouched. Rourke saluted. The fleet will be ready. As they dispersed to carry out her orders, Arya remained at the viewport, watching the world bleed beneath her. The KRYLL had mistaken compassion for frailty. But humanity was never fragile. They were patient. And when patience ended, they were unstoppable. Night fell over Rethal 4 like a shroud. The last rays of daylight vanished behind smoke pillars rising from shattered districts. Human medics had evacuated most civilian clusters, but the battlefield remained alive with danger. The KRYLL regrouped in fortified pockets, preparing for another sweep. Commander Arya Vale stood at the center of her bridge as the fleet shifted into combat formation. The medical vessels hovered behind escort lines, while 2 destroyers angled toward the upper atmosphere, their hulls glinting under distant stars. A calm voice echoed through the comm system as crews synchronized targeting arrays. Kasim updated her screen. 3 KRYLL strongholds confirmed. Outer perimeter lightly guarded, but central fortress shielded. Their command node is buried beneath the structure. Arya studied the tactical layout. We strike all 3. Simultaneous. Precision only. Rourke approached with a datapad. Dreadnought Alios requests deployment authorization. They've reached optimal orbit. Arya hesitated for an instant. The Alios wasn't just a ship, its appearance alone had ended conflicts across the frontier. Few species had seen it in combat. Even fewer survived the encounter. Approve, she said. Kasim looked up sharply. You're bringing in the Medusa pattern dreadnought? Only as a deterrent, Arya replied. But if the KRYLL escalate, we escalate faster. The crew exchanged a silent understanding. The Alios emerged from the shadow of a medical carrier, its colossal frame illuminating the void. Plates of adaptive armor rippled with shifting luminous veins, recalibrating to battlefield conditions. Its weapon ports remained closed, yet the threat was unmistakable. Sensors on the KRYLL side immediately reacted. Static flared across the long-range channel until a distorted transmission broke through. Human commander, a gravelly voice snarled, withdraw your forces. This system belongs to the KRYLL Dominion. Arya recognized the voice, Overlord Therun. The architect of the assault. You slaughtered healers, she answered. You forfeited any claim to this world. A harsh clicking sound followed, then mocking laughter. You are fragile beings wrapped in delusions of strength. Your compassion weakens you. Arya's tone sharpened. Compassion is why we came. Your actions are why we're staying. Therun's voice lowered. Then you have chosen death for your fleet. The channel cut abruptly. Arya didn't flinch. Begin operation. Human ground teams advanced through ruined streets, shadows darting past collapsed buildings. Captain Lorne led Alpha Squad toward the nearest stronghold, a repurposed agricultural hub transformed into a KRYLL garrison. High walls of improvised metal formed barricades. Patrols stalked the perimeter, weapons ready. Lorne's voice came through the bridge. We're close. KRYLL snipers on the south ridge. Arya tapped her console. Drones inbound. Clear the ridge before advancing. Moments later, 2 flight drones swept across the horizon, their engines whisper quiet. They dropped EMP charges that pulsed in shimmering arcs. KRYLL scopes flickered, then went dark. Marines moved instantly, clearing the ridge with focused strikes. Arya turned to Qasim. Stronghold 1 will fall quickly. Prepare for synchronized assault on the second. Across the planet, Beta and Gamma teams converged on their respective targets. Beta faced a heavily guarded energy plant, now functioning as a KRYLL coordination center. Gamma advanced toward the largest fortress, the one shielding their runes command node. The KRYLL opened fire first. Plasma bolts streaked through the night, scattering sparks where they struck metal or stone. Lorne reported, resistance increasing. They're trying to push us back. Hold position, Arya instructed. Destroyer horizon, assist Alpha with precision fire. A beam from orbit lanced downward a clean line of white-blue energy. It struck a KRYLL turret, reducing it to molten debris without damaging nearby structures. Marines pressed forward, using the brief lull to breach the outer gates. The battle intensified planet-wide. KRYLL warriors moved in coordinated waves, confident their numbers and familiarity with terrain would overwhelm human forces. But they had misjudged humanity's adaptability. In the center of the bridge, Arya observed the tactical map. Each engagement unfolded with surgical efficiency, medics stabilizing fallen civilians behind fortified lines, Marines advancing under cover fire, drones mapping enemy positions. Qasim pointed to the main fortress. Gamma Squad is pinned. KRYLL have heavy weapons platforms. Deploy the Alios strike craft, Arya said. Even Rourke blinked. You're sending them already? We're done playing defense. The Dreadnought's bay opened like the petals of a mechanical flower. 6 strike craft launched into the darkness, their engines burning bright blue. They descended in flawless formation, diving toward the KRYLL stronghold. Anti-air fire met them, but their deflector fields absorbed the impact. Each craft released micromunitions, silent, precise, devastating. KRYLL weapon platforms erupted, their metal frames collapsing inward. Explosions lit the fortress walls in violent bursts. Gamma Squad advanced immediately. As they pushed deeper, a transmission broke through, their rune again, fury shaking his voice. You unleash war machines for a colony of outsiders? You defend aliens who are not your kin? Arya answered without hesitation. We defend life. Something you know nothing about. You think this changes the war? Their rune growled. Humans bleed like all others. She turned her gaze toward the dreadnought. But we do not break. She signaled Qasim. Open the dreadnought's forward relay. Lock on to the central fortress. Qasim hesitated. The civilians nearby. I've already directed their evacuation, Arya said. Shield corridors protect them. Rourke confirmed. Gamma Squad in safe radius. Fire when ready. The dreadnought's main cannon hummed. Energy gathered along its core, shifting from blue to gold. The glow intensified until the bridge's lights dimmed in response. Arya lowered her voice. One shot only. Disable, don't annihilate. A single beam fell from orbit. It struck the fortress shield, tearing through it in a flash. Walls fractured. Secondary explosions rippled along the ground. KRYLL formations scattered in disarray, their disciplined lines collapsing under the force. Gamma Squad breached the command sector within minutes. Arya watched the feed as Marines swept through corridors. Bodies of KRYLL soldiers littered the halls. The deeper they advanced, the the quieter it grew. At last, they reached the command chamber. Their rune stood at its center, tall, armored, mandibles wide in fury. He faced the incoming Marines, weapon drawn, eyes burning with disbelief. He roared. "You should have come with medics. Not soldiers." Arya activated the audio output so her voice echoed through the chamber. "We came with both," she said. "You forced us to choose which one to use." Their rune charged. A quick burst of immobilizer fire dropped him to his knees. His weapon clattered to the ground. Marines surrounded him, cuffs securing his limbs. Lorne's voice filled the bridge. "Commander, the KRYLL command node is down. Their rune is captured. Hostile forces losing coordination." Arya exhaled for the first time in hours. "Good. Begin full planetary sweep. Save who can be saved. Secure the rest." Kasim turned toward her. "Commander, the KOLL thought we were healers only." Arya looked at the battlefield, now lit by the steady glow of human ships. "We are," she said softly. "But we never forgot how to fight." Dawn rose slowly over Rethal 4, its pale light cutting through the haze left behind by a night of uninterrupted combat. Smoke drifted upward in thin ribbons, softening the jagged skyline of ruined structures. Human shuttles glided across the sky in steady streams, ferrying the last survivors from danger zones toward newly secured shelters. Commander Arya Vale stood at the viewport of her flagship, watching the horizon brighten. For the first time since arriving, she could see color returning to the world, patches of green beyond the charred outskirts, the faint blue of river channels, even the soft glow of emergency lights humans had installed overnight. Life had not ended here, it had endured. Kasim approached quietly. "Gamma teams report final sweep of the main district. No remaining KRYLL units. Civilians are safe." Arya nodded. "Casualty count?" "Lower than expected," he answered. "Thanks to early evacuation." A shadow crossed her expression. "And our medics?" Kasim hesitated. "We lost 12. Arya let the number settle, not as a statistic but as 12 names, 12 families, 12 people who boarded this mission intending only to help. "Prepare a remembrance record," she said softly. "Every life documented." "Yes, Commander." Rourke joined them. "Their rune is in secured containment. His demanding trial under Dominion protocol." Arya turned from the viewport. "No. He doesn't control the terms anymore." Rourke nodded. "Coalition representatives want to speak. They're waiting on priority channel." "Patch them in," Arya said. The display formed a holographic circle around them. Coalition councillors appeared exhausted, embarrassed, strangely humbled. Not one attempted their usual formal greeting. Councillor Helren spoke first. "Commander Vale, your reports show decisive action. More civilian lives were saved than projected. Rethal 4 would have fallen without your intervention." Arya kept her posture firm. "Your intelligence failures created the vulnerability." The councillor bowed her head. "We accept that. The KRYLL deception exceeded our expectations." Arya answered without hostility, but with the clarity of someone unwilling to sugarcoat reality. "They exploited your assumptions. You believed humans would not respond militarily." Another councillor shifted uneasily. "We expected restraint." "Restraint," Arya echoed, "is not absence of strength." For a moment, none of them spoke. Then Councillor Helren said quietly, "The galaxy will ask questions. You deployed a dreadnought. You dismantled a KRYLL invasion force in a single night. This will alter power dynamics." Arya met their gaze. "Good. Let it alter them." She stepped closer, allowing no misinterpretation. "Humanity will answer any call for aid," she said. "But if our healers are targeted, if civilians are threatened, we will defend them. Our compassion has limits. Our protection does not." The councillors exchanged glances, visibly unsettled but equally relieved. "Thank you, Commander," Helren said. "We will send formal acknowledgement. And, we're grateful." The projection faded. Rourke exhaled. "They're shaken." "They should be," Arya replied. "Ignorance is costly." Before she could return to the viewport, a new alert sounded. "Commander," Kasim said, "Therun is requesting a direct audience. He claims it's urgent." Arya considered it. "Bring him up." Therun's image appeared in a containment frame, disarmed, bound, yet still radiating defiance. His mandibles clicked in agitation. "Human," he growled, "you believe this victory matters? The Dominion will retaliate." Arya's expression remained steady. "They can try." Therun leaned forward as far as the restraints allowed. "You pretend to be healers, yet you strike like assassins." Arya didn't raise her voice. "We came to save lives. You came to extinguish them." His eyes narrowed. "You claim to value life, yet you unleash weapons capable of leveling cities." "Only after you massacred unarmed medics," she replied. "We fight because you forced us to choose between mercy and survival." Therun spat a low hiss. "Your species hides its claws behind white coats." Arya stepped closer to the display. "We don't hide them. We simply prefer not to use them." He paused. For the first time, his defiance wavered. A brief flicker, fear or recognition, crossed his expression. "You are more dangerous than we believed," he whispered. Arya's reply was even, almost gentle. "You attacked the wrong people." She ended the transmission. Rourke watched her carefully. "What happens to him now?" "He'll stand trial under coalition law," Arya said. "No torture. No spectacle. Just justice." Rourke nodded. "Understood." By midday, human forces had finished stabilizing Rethal 4's infrastructure. Temporary clinics filled with survivors, families reunited, elders receiving care, children clutching blankets handed out by medics who still bore grief in their eyes but worked without hesitation. Arya visited the largest shelter. The moment she stepped inside, conversation hushed. Civilians glanced toward her with gratitude mixed with awe. A child approached, clutching a stuffed toy coated in ash. "Are you the one who stopped the bad creatures?" he asked. Arya knelt down. "No," she said gently. "We all stopped them. You held on. Our medics flew straight into danger. Our soldiers protected every path they opened. It wasn't one person." The child smiled, small but bright. "Thank you." Arya ruffled his hair and stood again. Captain Lorne found her near the entrance. "Rescue teams say survivors want to send a message to Earth. Many believe their world was saved because humanity didn't give up on them." Arya nodded thoughtfully. "Then we'll let them speak. This victory isn't ours alone." They walked outside. Shuttles passed overhead, heading toward the last evacuation zone. Ruins still smoldered, but the air felt lighter now, less suffocating, more hopeful. Rourke approached with a datapad. "Commander, fleet-wide broadcast is ready." She took the device. "Put it through." A camera drone drifted into position. Arya stood tall against the backdrop of a wounded world slowly healing. Her voice carried across ships, shelters, and outposts. "To everyone on Rethal 4, you are not alone. Humanity answered your call because every life is worthy of protection. We mourn those we lost, and we honor them through the lives we saved." She paused, then shifted her tone, directing her next words to the entire coalition and every listening system. "We came as healers. When forced, we fought as warriors. And let this stand as a reminder, kindness is not weakness. Compassion is a choice, not a vulnerability. If you ask for help, we will come. If you threaten the innocent, we will still come, but not as medics." The fleet remained silent afterward, moved by the clarity of her message. Kasim approached quietly. "Commander, the galaxy will remember this day." Arya looked at the horizon once more. "They should," she said. "It's the day humanity showed both halves of who we are." Behind her, medical ships continued treating survivors, while destroyers maintained vigilant watch in orbit. Healers and warriors, one force, one purpose. Rethal 4 would rebuild. Humanity would move on. But the KRYLL Dominion, and every power watching from afar, had learned something irreversible. Humans could save a world. Or they could defend it. And they were equally capable of both. "If you want, I can create." Fire a cinematic epilogue. Fire a thumbnail prompt. Fire a VO3 video motion prompt. Fire a new HFY story. Just tell me. ChatGPT can make M.